Hi, it's Gadget UK here again, back with an Acorn A3000. So this was the model that was aimed at the schools. You know, you've got these red function keys here. It's very similar to the A3010 we looked at in the previous video. The A3010 was just faster, more modern machine. This one's slightly older. I think this has probably got an ARM2 chip in it, and it's got discrete ICs for the IOC, MEMC, VIDC and ARM chip. So this is another one of the machines sent from Zarkos. I'm really grateful to him, actually, super grateful, because he sent me so many of these. I've got a pile of about 8 or so, or 9 of these to look at yet, and some accessories and things like mice and floppy drives and keyboards and things like that. So I think I'm not even going to try and power this up. I want to tear it down, have a look inside, see what state it's in. The battery is probably going to be the issue on most of these A3000s, because like a lot of systems of this era, they had a little rechargeable battery on board for holding BIOS settings and time and date, non-volatile settings and things like that. So that battery's going to have leaked and it's going to have spewed its guts everywhere, I'm thinking. There's these clips on the back here. So we've got one there, there's one here, and then I think these are probably just going to be hinged out once you've undone the back ones. If you lift the back off first, the front should hinge out, I think, just looking at this. And the way you open these is just push them in and then try and pull the case apart. Can you see that separated? The one on the other side's already done. So then if we lift it by the back towards the front and carefully try and see if we can clip it here, I'm not sure how it's clipped in. So once you've done those clips at the back, what you want to do is, as you lift the lid, can you see that? Just lever them slightly, all three. Yeah, if you see that one at the bottom there, just lever slightly as you lift the lid off. And hopefully you can see it comes out. They do hinge out like that. But look at this inside. Oh my god, I hope they're not all like this, because I don't know, I get the feeling many of these are just not going to be salvageable. I mean, look at the rust on the back here. This is just about as worse as you could possibly get. We'll try and disconnect the keyboard to have a look at the motherboard here if we can, just to pull out these. There's 2 of them. They're not clipped in, are they? No, they just pull out. Can't get a grip on that. Well, it's really stuck in there. Yeah, look, the corrosion's well and truly eaten that. These, I don't think these can be repaired. That one's come out a bit easier, but again, look at that. That's awful. Yeah, I don't think these are going to be salvageable. I mean, look at that. There's just too much damage on these. It's going to be a miracle if I can get one A3000 working out of the lot, if I'm completely honest. They're too far gone. This needed to have been treated, you know, I don't know, within a year or 2 of it starting to leak, really. I mean, you could argue, I'm not really giving it a chance, but I don't know, that's pretty extreme. That is pretty extreme, and it's not just localised to where the battery is. I don't even know where the battery was. The battery was here, wasn't it? It's not really localised to there, it's just everywhere. It's over the whole board. I'm going to try and just gently clean here with a bit of IPA. I'm not using vinegar, we'll do in a minute, because I just want to see how extensive this is. Is it just a white film that's covering the majority of it? Or, yeah, you see it has actually started to corrode wherever that whiteness has landed. I mean, these keyboard connectors need replacing. The big problem is the keyboard. You know, if the membrane's damaged as it appears to be, and they're all like that, because this is the second one of these I've looked at. There's one I looked at off camera. I just quickly pulled the lid off, and you know what, it looked just the same, if not more horrific than this one. So I don't know, maybe there is a chance, because, you know, it's kind of looking superficial, can you see? So by the time I've removed all this stuff and cleaned up the PCB, we might be left with, I don't know, a dozen damage traces. There's a lot of things that need solder removing and reflowing though, you know. A lot of these smaller components will probably just need swapping out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not as bad as it looks. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe these look scarier than they actually are. I mean, these here, they're going to need replacing. I can't leave those SMD components like that. They're horrible. I can't even see what they are. Well, I know the resistors. It says something on the board there, but you can't see the package for the greenness and the discoloration to the body of the component. I'll start using a little bit of white vinegar now. Now I've just covered a little bit with the IPA there, just on the top end of the board. I thought we'll have a clean down here, just see what this is looking like. Oh God, it's awful. I mean, what's this here? Those are just pads. If there were components there, they've long since gone. I think they're just pads, maybe. I mean, these here, they're just like 0 ohm links. You can replace those with a bit of wire. You don't even need a component there, unless they've got unless it's a ferrite bead that 0 ohms or something. I don't think so. I mean, the corrosion here is going to be worse because obviously we're right next to the battery. So I don't know, maybe it isn't game over for this. Well, it's pretty scary though. So I will completely take the board out in a minute because you can't really clean it up on here like this. I need to remove these chips and things, but just using some vinegar, you know, we can have a bit of a scrub here and let it soak and stuff, you know, and then I'll perhaps focus on trying to get the board out so I can have another go at it, because we're not going to be able to do much this way. Well, it won't do any harm to just leave the vinegar settling a little bit while I work on getting the rest of it out. So let's have a clean up here. I think this is the CPU, yeah, there's the ARM CPU. So by the time we get here, you know, there's still a bit around those little passives there on the RAM. Not much around the ARM CPU itself though. And these chips here seem okay, I think. Well, there's a bit of discoloration just down there was. Yeah, and by the time we get to the MEMC, I mind you, there's still a bit of corrosion down those components. They're looking a bit green. I mean, it may well be they're supposed to have green tops, because can you see all those there? They've kind of like got a green tinge to the top. Are they supposed to be green? Maybe they are. Maybe that's what's just confused me a little bit. It's making it look far more corroded than it perhaps is. I mean, that crystal's very green as well over there. See that? That should not be green. You could have some, you know, more traditional corrosion on this as well. Maybe it's been in a shed. Maybe that's what's happened. It's got the corrosion from the battery, but it's also got corrosion from the elements from being in a damp area. The one worry I do have, you know, when you're scrubbing like this, these little components can come off. I already had one where as soon as I turned it upside down, I heard a ting ting, and then I turned it upside down again. A couple of S&B components had fallen out through the case. A couple of resistors or caps or something. They were tiny. I found them on the floor and I was like, oh my god, there's actually things falling off it just from turning it upside down. Yeah, I mean, all these pin headers and sockets, they're all going to need replacing. I might have to get well, I think what I'm going to have to do is, this is my first one of the 3000s I'm looking at. I'll have to try and gather a parts list of what I think is going to be common to all these. Something like, I mean, the 0 ohm, 1 ohms link, 0 ohm links. Can you see that fizzing away there? That's the alkaline at the back. It's fizzing on contact with the vinegar, because the vinegar's acid. It's acetic acid. And these connectors at the back here will lead up. Oh, I don't know. There's tons of corrosion. Let's just pour a bit of that on there. This is the sort of repair that you might want to do once or twice in your career or your hobby or whatever. You know, you see something like this, you think, oh, okay, as a challenge, I'll give it a go. But the problem is, I've got like 8 of these. I'm like, well, I can't just leave them. Technically, they could just be kept as spares. I think that's what Zarkos has been doing, but it'd be nice to repair as many of these as I can and get them out into the wild, you know, rehome them. And donations like this are the only way this channel can exist at the moment, because having lost my job, and I'm sorry to keep going on about it, I know everybody loses the job from time to time, but for me with my health, it's a huge problem. I cannot do a normal job. It's got to be something home-based. And I've got a part-time role at the moment, as I mentioned a few videos back, working for a friend, and that's working out really well actually, because he's local and he knows and understands my conditions. I've known him for many years. So yeah, thank you very much to my friend Simon. I'm very, very grateful. Yeah, I might start trying to just mop some of this up with cotton buds before I try and remove it from the case, but I'm just doing this now just because it's cute. I'm interested to see what it looks like after it's been mopped up. So I can collect up the majority with some kitchen roll like this, and then I'll get the cotton buds into the gaps in a sec. Because the thing with this won't evaporate. That's what you've got to realise, this won't evaporate vinegar. IPA, of course, evaporates on its own just with a bit of time and a bit of heat. You know, heat will speed the process up, or air. But vinegar will not. I mean, it will if you leave it long enough, but yeah, it's just not going to go anywhere without being mopped up. I'm starting to think I am not going to be able to repair any of these. I really am. I'm not giving up at this stage. I'm just looking at that's wired on. There's like a little bracket thing here. I think it's stuck onto that. I'm sorry, I pull that cap then. I think this just pulls out like this by the looks of things. See if we can lift it up. See, even these Rom Chips, the wobbling, they're going to come off. Those chips are... There's nothing holding that in. What's holding that in there? It's not screwed in. Yeah, I just had to prise that off. Normally there'll be a screw through here, maybe a screw through there, but it wasn't screwed in. It was just pressure fitted. So with a little bit of corrosion on the bottom end here, obviously the brackets are really rusted. These will probably need replacing, at the very least cleaning out, probably replacing. This chip here just bent super easily, so I don't know if the legs are short in there, whether some of the legs have got corroded and it's now damaged. I don't know. Let's see if we can just straighten that out a little bit. Just a little bit, not too far. Yeah, that'll do. So, yeah, maybe that's savable. I don't know. But I mean, look at this here. Again, it's just white. Thick white. And every one of these little components looks green. I hope they were originally green. Otherwise, there's just going to... I mean, like the solder points on these will probably all need replacing. These ones are alright. But, you know, logically speaking, that means I have to replace any of these little SMD components here, or everything around there. I'm basically building an Archimedes, not repairing one. It's scary just how much damage there is to this. So I've just been disconnecting everything I can disconnect. Let's disconnect the floppy drive. I'll do it from the motherboard there. Oh, that's all under here as well, look, white. The next thing we're going to do is just carefully, well, I'm going to put this on some kitchen roll first. Some of the vinegar will end up running off and it's going to go straight down wherever I tilt the case. But if we just tilt the case like that, and I can get underneath the drive here and just free the floppy drive up. As I undid the last screw there, the floppy drive literally leapt out of the case. It was trying to make a dash for it to get away from the alkaline damage, I think. So the good news is, this tiny little bit of the board here is clean. That's the bit that hasn't been affected, because look, you can see the corrosion's here still. You know, it's got all the way out here, and pretty much all the way around here. So, yeah. So the next thing we need to do is unscrew this screw here that holds the back plane into the case. I think, does it? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's going through. I'm not sure what that's going through actually. No, that's just the flap, isn't it? So what's holding it in? What's holding it in here? Yeah, I missed the obvious screw down here. Pretty much the only screw actually. I don't see any other screws holding this in. Someone might have tried to set this board out in the past. Either that or the alkaline has disintegrated the remaining screws. That wouldn't surprise me. What's holding it in now? A speaker. So let's just pull the speaker out. I didn't show, but I disconnected these power connectors here off these spades. They just pull straight off. And obviously disconnected the speaker and anything else that was connected there. We've got a ground tab here. Hopefully it's a pull-off one. Yeah, it is, look. And there we go. The board is now free. So we'll start with the Rom Chips here. Just a little bit on each side. Hopefully we won't lose any legs. Hopefully these chips do still work. Yeah, you can see the legs are very tarnished there. Anyway, we'll put that to the side. Let me just see if I can see a marking on this before I mess these up. Yeah, that one says ROM 4, so I'm guessing this one's going to be ROM 3, hopefully. You can see technique, when you can't get the screwdriver under, just push it down a little bit on the other side, and then it lets you get the screwdriver in, so you've got to kind of go alternate ways. Just this corner here now, I think. Yeah, there we go. Just look at that one. Again, look at the pins. Ugh, they're barely hanging on there, look. Anyway, we might be able to salvage it. Let me just see which one that is. Yeah, that's ROM 3. So hopefully ROM 2 and ROM 1 at the top. again, absolutely well and truly corroded. Let's just check, that's Rom 2. Yeah, that's Rom 2. That one's just literally come out. Look at the socket. Oh god, I didn't even have to lever that. It's like, as soon as you saw what happened there, as soon as I put the screwdriver in, it was, way, it jumped out. It was desperate to get free of that socket. Look at that. Those are completely disintegrated, those socket pins. And here, they're red. They're absolutely red. They're bright red, those. Yeah, and look, there's bits of the socket there. I can see there's a leg here, look. Yeah, and there's one there. So, yeah, it definitely needs new sockets, that's without a doubt. So in terms of what we're going to need to replace, obviously the caps. So you wouldn't want to put the old caps back on, we may as well replace those. We'll see what we can do with these chips, but I'm probably going to have to replace the ones certainly very close to the battery here, because these are just going to be shot. We certainly need the new sockets. I could probably just replace these. I'll put new pin header on there, new jumpers I think, we'll just get rid of those. These are going to need replacing. I don't think we're going to be able to salvage those, so I'll keep them just in case these are better than some of the others for some of the other boards. But I think you can buy something similar. I think Plan C replaced the ones on his in 2 halves. So I'll have a word with him to see what parts he's used for that and order some of those, I think. Let's get this chip out next. This is a Philips, is that an 8051? Yeah, it is. That, I think, is the keyboard MCU. The 8051 was quite a common chip, certainly used in engineering an awful lot. It was originally, I think it's an Intel, wasn't it, originally, 8051? This is obviously a Philips branded licensed one. So, again, the pins looking pretty awful, but not as bad as those Rom chips. This is well and truly flipping dirty. There's some super long hairs on this board. I don't know where those have come from. Maybe it's had a visit from the acid fairies or something, and one of them's got long blonde hair. I don't know. The other thing I would say, if anyone's got a time machine and can go back and speak to the people that designed these, obviously get them to not fit a battery. But if you can't manage that when you do go back in time, ask them to politely not put green SMD components onto this PCB, because I can't honestly tell what is corroded and what isn't, because they are green. The components are actually green, believe it or not, but the green with additional green added. So just for the moment, I've shoved all of the internals into the case. I haven't screwed it together or clipped it together. All of the fittings and things are outside and need cleaning up. I haven't even stuck the chips back in. I'm going to clean those up. But I've just stuck a label on this and put major corrosion. I'm going to move on to the others, because you never know, this could be the worst one. Some of the others might be a bit more fixable, and it would be good to start with something that's a bit easier so that we can at least test the chips from this on that. So here's the next one I'm going to look at here. Let's take the top off. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think they're all going to be in a similar state here. So again, you can see it's pretty major. The keyboard has been disconnected here. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, it's a little bit worn there on the ribbon. Someone's chopped the end off that previously. Oh, good God, it's again all over the whole board. Keyboard connectors here missing. It's going to be a nightmare to fix that one. Okay, well, I'll stick a sticker on this one, I think. I'm going to class this one as a major as well, actually, because it's substantial. I'm going to class this one as major as well, because it's all up here, it's all around here, it's all around here. Look, the arm chip there, all around that. So yeah, it's another major one. So this next one is looking a lot more promising. There's lots of green here, all around this area. But it's not got that white fur across the whole blooming board. You know, up here in particular is looking a lot better. We've still got, you know, the odd pin and what have you that's going to need dealing with. That chip, socket, these, all of those. And then a lot of cleanup work around here. Some corrosion has got down here, but it's very light. So I'm going to put medium. This one might be the one that I come on to next, I think. We'll continue. I've got a couple more to look at yet. So this one is looking heavy. It might even be very heavy. Oh, it's not even going to come out of there, is it? That? Oh. Yeah, those are eaten through totally. Yep. I mean, look at the corrosion here on the keyboard. Oh, it's just absolutely awful. I can feel it stinging my hands. Yeah, this one I think is the worst one. This is very heavy corrosion. Look at that. That's awful. Absolutely awful. I mean, the bad news is I don't think I can get all of these working, not myself. I'll be spending all the rest of the year doing this. Yeah, I don't know, you can see you've got resistors and things falling off the board, look. The corrosion is so bad, things are leaping off there. Got another serial number or something floating around inside there as well. Yeah, I don't hold high hopes for these. They could be restored, but you would have to remove every single component around here and replace goodness knows how many. Certainly all the smaller components, all these SMD parts and things here. I could spend weeks on one of these boards on its own. Right now I've got a dilemma. I'm not sure what to do. I might end up sending some of these to other channels or something to see if they can each, use it as a project themselves to work through. I'll perhaps have a go at one of the harder ones myself first, work out the parts and things, maybe come up with a parts list, and maybe that would help some of the other channels restore one of these themselves. So this one, I think Zarkos was saying, should be hopefully repairable. Boots to RISC OS, some keys don't work, probably tracks are cut on the motherboard. So let's just carefully open this one. Well, this one's looking a little bit more promising. It's also got something interesting on the back here, an interface of some sort. Not sure what that is, we can have a look at that in a minute. It's got a RAM board. Some of these, 2 or 3 of these have got what looks like a 1 meg, what's this here, keyboard issue. Okay, well, we need to pull this out anyway, don't we? Guessing those have been trimmed down. Let's move that out of the way. Ah, yeah, got some keys there that don't work. My guess is keyboard is okay, but 1 or more tracks on the motherboard are cut. So interestingly, this has got a replacement battery here, or a battery on it. There are a few little wires here to fix things, so someone's had a go at fixing this in the past. It does look pretty clean, actually. You can see some corrosion has got around there, but very little. So I think that this is the one I'm going to move on to, and I'll revisit some of the others. So this one does indeed work. Hopefully, as you'll see, got the RGB cable connected there. And we got the boot tone there and the RISC OS 2048. Yeah, so there's a chance for this one, so I'm going to start with this one. And then we'll look at the other 4 mega corroded Archimedes. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get any of those 4 working. We can only try, really. Something else to point out, the mouse works, but the floppy drive doesn't. If I double click on that, the light lights on the drive, makes a little noise, very little, and then comes up with an error. So it needs something doing to the disk drive as well. Well, this one's looking a bit more positive. It's looking super clean in there. Let's just carefully disconnect the keyboard ribbon if I can. What makes these hard? See this bit of metal here? On the A3020, they're far easier to get in and out, these ribbons. Certainly that top one there. Yeah, they don't look too bad. And they don't look too bad, a little bit worn, but let's just take that out of the way. So we've got a battery sort of flowing here. Yeah, there has been some corrosion, so it's going to be another corrosion job. But I mean, look at this one. This one's beautiful compared to the others. But just look how much better this one is than the others, actually. If I was going to keep one for myself, it would probably be this one, because this is in very good condition. It does need a new keyboard ribbon there, because you can see there's a green. Those all need swapping out. I'm not sure whether anybody's replaced the sockets and things here. That's the thing. It's obviously had a battery bodged on there. The other thing to point out is it's got a different RAM board here. It's got one with that uses SIMs by the looks of things. So just pull those like that. Be interested to just get this memory out of here if I can. Is it one of these where you've got to pull it off as well? I thought it would just be lift forward actually. Yeah, there we go. Carefully pull that out, have a look. Yeah, so I'm guessing it's got a 1 meg SIM perhaps. Could be a 4 meg SIM, but yeah, anyway, that's interesting. So let's just clip that back in. Yeah, so I think actually I might start with this one rather than the one that's just got the keyboard issue. I'm going to start with this one. Do you remember we took this out of the first one we looked at? Do you remember how rusty these were? Do you remember they were red with rust? All I did there is use the wire brush and the fiberglass pen. There's a bit of rust on that side there. Can you see that? And it'll probably just, you can literally just scratch it off like that. It comes off super easy. But you can see how much cleaner those are. Look at the one over here as well. It's almost good as new, that. The only thing you would need to perhaps do to this, or I might need to do this, is just reflow the solder points here. But actually that's come out pretty well. So I cleaned up the first ROM here. You can see those legs look absolutely awful, but we're back to just metal. You know, they look corroded there with little bits of copper exposed. You know, I don't know if it's copper, it's like an alloy probably, but this looks a bit pinkish, you know, a bit pinkish there. So I can get some flux and solder onto those, but I've cleaned that one up. I'm just going to do the same thing with these now, and as I say, it's a multi-step approach. I tend to use the wire brush to start with here, just to get the flaky bits of rust off as much as I can, and you tend to find that that brings them up pretty clean to start with on its own, actually. They have been rinsed with vinegar here as well, and IPA afterwards, but you can see, you know, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. So this is the board I've chosen to look at first, because it's relatively minor damage, although there is a lot of corrosion down here. Can you see crystal, you know, these caps, wires? It's pretty bad round there, actually. It looks pretty good, but it's not. I'm going to remove that battery to start with, I think. And then up here we've got the audio mod, I think. This is a Burr Brown op amp. What I don't like about this is the way it's kind of floating. Can you see here? We've got some large blobs of solder and things like that. Pins are extended to, you know, make it easier to mount. I think someone's wanted to, you know, they've just maybe snipped off the old one and, I don't know, mounted it on longer legs there to make it easy to get to, and then soldered some wires, lifted the side of the coupling caps here and fed straight to various things there to get a bypass mod, you know, so you're bypassing the filters. So we can deal with that last. I don't think that's going to be causing us our fault. This is not booting, it's just not doing anything at all. But again, these can look a bit furry. I don't know whether you can tell, you know, the points here are dark grey on these solder, so the solder started to corrode. But the issue might be down here, because can you see this little IC here? Just look at this. See how brown the pin is, and there's a green pad there. It could just be that. That might be why it's not booting. Lots of these things here need reflowing. Can you see it looks brown? It shouldn't be. Same there, the solder looks brown. So yeah, we'll get this off and I'll clean up around this area. So I removed the first ROM there. Pins are looking pretty oxidised and rusted and stuff. And look here, green. That pin there's disintegrated a little bit. That one there's green. Can you see that? So yeah, I think this is probably why it's not booting. It might not be any damage around here. It could just be bad ROM sockets. So I'll remove the battery in a sec, get these three off. And then I'm also going to remove this, just to have a look under the keyboard controller there. It's an 8051 again. An 8051, it's an MCU. You can see there, copyright Intel, copyright Philips. So Philips must have, I don't know, got licensed to manufacture these via Intel. And we've got the same, if not worse, here. Can you see this pin's hanging off? Look. This is the problem. This is why this is not booting. I think someone's thought it's relatively minor here. They've had a bit of a clean up and a wash and then just assembled it and started to mod it and stuff. And the reality is, when you've got corrosion like this around here, these need to come off. You can't leave them. And the things here are going to need reflowing or replacing, certainly. And the odd wire patching up. And you can see again the same sort of thing on the last two sockets. There's a pin sort of missing there in the third one. As I pull this last chip out, look at the leg there. That's how it was in the socket, so the pin wasn't actually in, it was kind of like squished down or pressing against the other one kind of thing. So we'll just desolder the battery, and I think the original contacts might still be here. I don't think this is, because that looks like, yeah, a funny angle look. But it might not be, it could be the wire from the thing on the other side. Yeah, that's one out. I can unblock the holes in a minute. There we go. I'll just start to clean up with a bit of vinegar here, and we'll use some IPA and get the fiberglass pen onto this area. I'm pretty sure it's probably been treated with vinegar in the past, or it would be a lot worse. I mean, you can see straight away the redness to a lot of these things is coming off. You know, there was these were looking very reddy here. That pad there was orange, and it's gone back to a normal sort of colour. So I don't know, we might get away with a clean up here, replacement of the sockets, and the odd reflow of anything that looks affected. I mean, these wires here, I can't imagine these wires are going to be very good next to that small IC. But the main thing is it's coming up a lot cleaner. Yeah, I think it is pretty minor, this one, compared to some of the others. I mean, the sockets is not minor, you know, there could be lots of damage around there and underneath them. The keyboard connectors definitely need replacing on this one as well. Oh my goodness, look at the state of that socket there. So, you know, just pull this chip out. The chip looks okay, I think that's going to be salvageable. But just look how bad that is. Yeah, you can't leave it like that. And as you can see, the solder is coming away. Might have to cut the socket up a little bit from the top side if it starts to, you know, become a problem where it won't come off. Because the problem you have here is because the pads and things are corroded, the solder's not going to flow very well, so you might not get the solder off the other side. But also the pads could easily come off or become damaged or detached or whatever. But I think it's coming off alright actually. These are really nice high quality boards, I like these boards. And the reason I'm saying that is because I can tell with the temperature I'm using, the board's not been damaged by the high heat there. I'm over 400 degrees here, I'm about 450 actually, which is very high. But you need something like that to work with the solder on the other side. It doesn't flow very well, you need a higher temperature. It's not going to come off easily, this, I don't think. I think there's lots of solder on the other side. They look free, but you know what? This is the problem. The solder just does not come off. I mean, it could be that I've removed all the solder, which is why there's no snapping noises, because it's ready to come off. That's a possibility. Let's just see. Oh yeah, look, that's pretty loose, that. It's just this side here. It might be that one pin that's... No, it feels like it's lifting, that. Look. Yeah, it's nearly off. It's just one pin up here, and I think that's the one that looks like it's still got a bit of solder on. There we go. Socket removed. So the prognosis for the board actually is pretty good. You know, we've got a couple of wires here that look a bit questionable. I'll check those. But I think when we've cleaned up with the fiberglass pen and stuff around here and unblocked that hole, well, it might be that one, I can't remember which one I heated now. That's not too bad. And that's pretty close to the battery. This one and this one, obviously, you know, might be worse yet. We don't know. Anyway, I won't bore you with the complete removal of those. I'll just get those two off there. So there we go, about 25 minutes later we've removed all 4 ROM chips. This one came off super easy, these 3 not so easy. These came off really easy again, but look at all the white stuff under there, and that socket came off really easy. And now, because there's all this white stuff here, strictly speaking, I really should need to, or should remove this, maybe the jumpers. We're going to need to replace the crystal. The little components, yeah, it's questionable. What we'll be doing is making a note of everything from sort of like here, these little ones here, these, the caps and things down here, these ones, a note of all of them in each position, and they're going to have to go and size them up. Some of them that's obvious, like resistors, you can zoom in on the resistor there and you can see what sizes. It might say 472, that's going to be 4.7k I think, is it? But the caps don't have a size, they're just, you know, a certain colour. So I need to look at the service manual to work out the size of those. But I'm going to do that so that I can order up a full set, well, several full sets of the components that I need. Because the other boards are going to need this whole area here completely gutted and replace pretty much everything, I would think. I do think I'll take these chips off maybe later. I'm not in a rush to do it now. I'll clean up what we've got there now and focus on getting the sockets back on, and then finish off putting the 2 keyboard connectors on. I might, if I feel comfortable at that point, go and test it just to see if whether it's sprung back to life or not. Under these ROM chips, it's not too bad actually. I thought it was going to be worse than this. I'm not sure what's going to be going on over the keyboard connectors here. Well, you can see there's a few pins there that are super corroded. Those 2 are there. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a zoom in for the this area here. Again, maybe it's not as bad as it looks. It's just very dirty. I think the fiberglass pen will bring those up looking nice, I think. Some of these need unblocking. These corner ones here, I think, need unblocking. They're not too bad actually, they're pretty clean. Yeah, not too bad at all, those. This is minor compared to the other boards for sure. I mean, you can see, just look how clean those pads are coming up there now. I need to clean the extended area because there's a lot of bits of corrosion around there. This chip here might need to come off, I think, because it's looking pretty dirty there. It's going to be, you know, if these are any example, it's going to be dirty underneath. But I might just be able to wash around and under it and try and just give it a really good scrub. So I'm going to try and see what I can get away with as a minimum amount here. If we just get this vinegar here, you know, we're going to flood it right under and around these ICs, around the jumpers there, just everywhere around here really. The reason being is, if this was the only one, if this was mine now and I was just like, you know, this is what I've picked up, this is the one I'm going to be working on, I would spend more time, you can see it bubbling a little bit, I would spend more time just focusing on removing everything here and replacing everything. But you know what, we're going to have lots of examples, see it fizzing there, lots of examples over these other boards where I am going to have to remove all this stuff. So for this particular one right now, I'm thinking I'd like to try and get this working. I'll keep this one for myself maybe, and we can revisit this one. It might be another video sometime after this initial series is finished where I revisit and deal with some of the other ICs that I think should be removed here, and some of the little passives. I mean, the crystal, yeah, I will swap that out because I don't think it's a good idea to leave that like that. It just looks horrendous. But I want to try and just see what I can do as a bare minimum on this one, just to get this up and running. So the next thing I'm going to do is get the new sockets on here actually, and then I'm going to test it. I'm not going to put the keyboard one on. I'm just going to get the one here, these four, get the chips back in and test it, just to see what happens, whether we've made, you know, turned a corner or not. These sockets came from Alice and Chalice actually. Got loads of these 32-pin sockets, which is just what I need for the number of Archimedes I've got to work on here. Alison was a huge BBC fan. I'm pretty sure she had an Archimedes herself amongst her BBC systems. So yeah, we'll anchor the corner points first. It's still looking very dirty under here, as you can see. There's like streaks and smears and all sorts here. So we just carefully get that back into position here, I think. There we go. So it goes 44, 43, 42. Yeah, the pins are not perfect on this one. This one's perhaps a bit more corroded than the other two were. So let's try and get that in. I can't tell whether that's in. Yep, that's in. So we've got the final one to go in now, and we can test it. Oh my god, it works. I just plugged the SCART cable in, and yeah, it was already switched on. So I'm going to connect the keyboard up, because that's not plugged in at the moment, and see if I can actually, you know, I don't know, reset it, hold down delete, see if it'll boot to the user interface. So whilst that's positive news, I tested the keyboard, and the keyboard's not working. Now, the keyboard isn't the issue. I trimmed off like less than 0.5 millimetre of the edge of the flex ribbon there, just to bring it back to a better surface, you know, further up the ribbon. Still the same, so I thought, okay, well, I'll try another keyboard. So I've tried the one from a 3010. It's exactly the same keys don't work. So like the delete key doesn't work, so you can't clear the non-volatile memory there. And some of the number keys didn't work either. So we do have a bad connection. So I mean, the obvious thing to do is test the connectivity between these here. I'm guessing they're going to go through these, maybe not. Maybe some of the connections goes to here. So I'll look at the schematics, see what connects where, and see if I can work out by where the bad trace is. I mean, it could be something down here. It could be one of the wires around here. Just making sure I've not missed any connections. No, I don't think I've missed any connections there. So I've pulled off the, I think the 145s, aren't they, from here. You can see how horrible it looks underneath. And look at the underneath of the chip there, awful. So despite having the solder station set to 480, I still couldn't get the solder off the top side. It wasn't coming from this side here because of the corrosion. So I removed as much of the solder as I could and then just used hot air, 450 degrees. It probably took about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes to remove each chip. No problems with delamination, no clicking noises or anything like that. They're really nice, super high quality PCBs, these. So yeah, I'd recommend you do the same thing, otherwise you're just going to damage the pads if you're not careful. You know, if the solder's not coming off because of that corrosion, that's where you have a problem. But as you can see, it's looking a lot cleaner. So I need to inspect the tracers and wires and things there now before I get some sockets on. So, the following day, a little bit of detective work, and I think I have worked it out. Now, this is the schematics here for the 3010. The reason I've gone to the 3010 instead of the 3000 is the schematics for the 3000, the one I've got, they're awful. So when you zoom right in, you can't see any of the pin numbers on any of the chips and things. But as you can see here, on the 3010, you can. Now, the difference is, can you see here, the 8051, C51 is PLCC on the 3010 and the 3020, but it's the same, you know, it's the same chip. It's got the same 145s here, you know, to feed these connections to the one side of the membrane or the other. I think they come down to this one here actually. Yeah, you can see there Y0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then something in between 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and those correspond with the numbers up here. So I started on which one did I start with? I think it was this one. So I started on this one down here, you know, the Y connections here, so that's like pin 1 on the 145, pin 2, pin 3, pin 4, pin 5, all the way up. So I followed those on here. So the meter's on continuity test. I'll just show you. Now bear in mind, like I say, they're completely different. These are SMD on the 3010, and you've got a PLCC version of this chip here, and I think it's wired subtly different, but say for instance you start on pin 1, and you measure it down here, pin 2, that's correct, it's according to the diagram. And as you go across, let's do the second one, next one, you get a gap somewhere here in a minute. I think it's this next one. No, it's not, it's that one. Or is it? Hang on, which one's the gap? Yeah, that's the gap. So we go to that pin. That's ground. So then we go up here and we continue on. One there. This one goes up here, strangely enough. Now that differs from that diagram. I just, you know, I couldn't work out where it went on here. On the diagram for the 3010, it does indeed. On the diagram for the 3010, it does indeed go to this bottom connector here. For some reason, it goes here on this one. But anyway, so it goes to that second one. So I thought, okay, let's move on to the next one. This is the final one on this chip, and nothing. So I thought, okay, it must be a bad connection. I thought, oh, there's a wire here. Well, on the meter I get resistance 167. Now, I didn't test that wire. It looked good when we removed this chip, but it's on the top side here between this third pin and there. It's just a straight trace, and we only got resistance. Now, I looked back at the video footage you saw a few minutes ago of a close-up when I was using a fiberglass pen here, and you can see that this third pin here just goes straight up to this wire. So I just need a little bridge there. I think that's all it is. Now, there might be another problem yet. We might have another problem with another connection on this one, because at the moment we've got neither of the delete keys are working. Some of the number pad is not working. I think like 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9 I think are not working, as well as the delete keys and 1 or 2 of the keys, but most of the keyboard works. But because the delete key doesn't work, you can't reset the you know, MV RAM stuff, the settings down here. So I'm just going to stick a little wire on from the underside of this pin straight to the wire on the other side, and that should fix it. Could use a fiberglass pen, but that's going to affect the wider area. I'd rather just kind of scratch the surface a little bit like this. I'll show you a close-up in a sec. So, tiny weeny bit of dedicated flux. Let's see if we can get a bit solid on that now. It's freezing in here today. Yeah, there we go. I really need a smaller tip on my iron. I hope this fixes it, because it will make this a fairly easy first 3000. You know, it'll be a nice introduction into these faults, but also I can use this board to help further test the other boards, you know, the chips and things on those. So I'll just trim that down a tiny little bit, because it doesn't need very much on it at all. And then we'll just, where's it gone now, that wire? There it is. Just hold it against the solder point there and join them up. Yes, if we just push it down and then meet and bend it up a little bit into the pin next to it. There we go. Let's just clean that up a little bit. I need to clean this down in a minute, obviously, because there's tons of flux on here. It's just awful. That's it. So I'll just make sure it's not shorter to the pins at the side. So if we test on continuity, just make sure those two aren't shorter. No, they're not. Those two aren't, and those are. So let's flip it over and see if that's fixed the damage, and then we'll go and test it. And if we test that now, you can see we've got short. So that's a good sign. Let's go and try it. So I made some excellent progress, as you can see. I held down delete and I managed to reset the CMOS settings, and I was able to boot up. I'll show you on the number pad. 1, 2 is not working, 3 is. So 3 wasn't before. 4's working, 5 isn't, and 6 is. So 6 is working. It's like we've gained a column, we've still got 1 column missing on the number pad. 8's not working either. And I think 1 or 2 of the characters, like the minus character on the main part of the keyboard there, not on the number pad. Plus, the plus key works, as you can see, but the minus key doesn't. Every other key seems alright. I'm guessing maybe 1 or 2 of the function keys probably aren't working either. But we have turned a corner. It is booting, and I did get sound as well. Yeah, we've still got some missing, because it goes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is like 8. So 8's there. 9, 10 is resistance, 11 isn't there, 12 is. So yeah, it seems to be these bottom ones here. So we've got another 2 or 3 wires to add there now. Woohoo! Keyboard done. Everything works fine, every single key's working now. The main thing is the number pad, because that wasn't working before, as you can see. It is. And the plus on the main part of the keyboard and minus are working. Fantastic. So you can see I'm having to test at weird angles, because the cable I've got is so short. It's fine for monitors and things, but it's no good for this TV. So the next thing I'll do is finish cleaning up the PCB. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clean, but I mean, like around where the corrosion was needs more work. On the underside needs more work. I'm going to undo this mod. I'm going to revert this mod. We'll take off this op amp here. We'll put a socket on. Put these caps back into position here, I think. Just revert that. All that's doing is it's a bypass mod. It's bypassing the filtering. But if I'm honest, this is the one I want to keep for myself, and I'll probably revert it. But this will be socketed, so I might have a mod that I'll do later to it to get a separate, unfiltered line out. So you can see the wires that were required under there, with that little one there, and then 4 wires there. I'll just get some kitchen roll down under here, just because I'm going to have a good scrub around with a toothbrush now and some IPA. So all that was required here is that remove the wires, the bits of tape. You can see these 2 caps are floating, obviously, because the legs have been pulled out. So I think these are the coupling caps. Perhaps before they go to the final amplification stage, I'm not sure. It might just be the final coupling with the, speakers or wherever. I suspect not, though. I suspect we've got some op amps down here for that. Could be wrong. The next thing we need to do is obviously remove this. I'll take the chip out of its socket and we'll remove that sort of extended socket there. There's no reason to really do that sort of thing. What you could do, if you want to do a mod like this yourself, is have a socket inside a socket. I mean, is that what it's got going on? No, it's not. It's just soldered it on little stilts there, on legs. It's got the Burr Brown op amp here. We'll stick that back in a minute. But we'll remove this socket, remove the extended legs here, solder the socket in, then just stick the chip back in and unblock the holes for these two coupling caps here and stick them back in, test the sound. It should hopefully be okay. I don't think he's got any traces there. That's the nice thing with that, he's done it in a way that can be easily reverted. So what I decided to do with that socket was cut it up. As you can see, I just broke it into pieces. I tried to remove as much solder as I could from the underside first, and these are just kind of like lightly held on. Look, you see they're barely in place, but we can clean this up in a minute with some flux and solder braid. There we go, looking a bit better. We'll just clean up with cotton bud. I'm going to get the toothbrush on here as well on this side in a minute, just because there might be some particles of solder from using the desolder pump. And I'll just inspect super closely and then get the socket on. So I had to straighten it a bit because it was kind of on a slight angle. So just testing it with the mouse and the floppy drive now after cleaning up somewhat. It's not seeing the disc. Let's just try ejecting the disc and putting it back in, just in case it wasn't sat in properly. No. So we need to clean up the heads. So this one's got a Sony floppy drive, as you can see here, an MPF11W. So how do you get inside this? There's no screws, I don't think. I mean, you can see the corrosion just on the sides here, you know, so it's obviously got to the drive as well. How does this come off? It's not one of these ones where you've got to pull the front off first, is it? Or will it? No, it'll slide over like that, I think. It's on there pretty stiff, I have to admit. There we go. So, I mean, it's not looking too dirty in there. There's a little bit of dirt. Cotton bud down here. I could take this to bits a bit further later. I'm not really that interested in it just now. What I really want to do is just quickly just clean up the heads if I can. Yeah, I've just blown some air through there because I think that the heads weren't in the right position, actually. But we'll clean the bottom head up and then we'll do the same with the top head. Might need to recap this drive as well. Let's just watch what happens with the heads, if anything. Oh, it just says drive empty. That's interesting. So I'm not getting any further with this. I just swapped out the 06, I'll show you down there on the motherboard near the 1772 disc controller. I'm thinking the controller might be the issue, actually. But in the meantime, I thought, it keeps saying disk, let me just bring up the error, drive empty, it says. Now, the drive is empty at the moment, and if I just double click on the drive, just listen, it makes a little click, but nothing else, and the head is not moving. This is the clue to me, there's something weird going on, the head is not seeking back here. Now, if we press the disk detection switch down here, and then click on the floppy drive icon, hang on, you can hear it does more there. Starts to spin, but it's doing the same thing, the same error. So for one reason or another, it still thinks there's no disk in there, despite the fact the switch here is working. Now there's a chance that maybe the signal that comes through here to say there's a disk in the drive is not working properly. I did have a look at the one of the service manuals for this machine. The interesting weird thing it says for the Sony drives, you've got to make sure it's screwed in properly and it's, you know, it's grounded. Otherwise, you can get this drive empty error. So sorry I had to bring the video to another abrupt end there, just because there's so much more footage. So we got this one fully functioning. As you will see in the next video when we finish this off, there is a second fault with this. It isn't just a case of the floppy drive is faulty. As you'll see in part 2. So special thanks to Zarkos. Despite the moaning throughout this video about how bad these are, I have enjoyed working on these. So if you can support the channel via Patreon for as little as $1 a month, please see the link down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.